What's up and welcome to FPL Today. I'm your host JNO, welcome to the channel and welcome to the Group D preview for the World Cup as far as fantasy football is concerned. In this series we'll be going over every group and looking at the players that stand out from each team who could potentially get quite a few fantasy football points in that group. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you're notified when my videos go live, and also the World Cup official fantasy football game in association with McDonald's should be released around the 7th, so then we should do some live streams regarding that as well. And another little bit of admin before we get into the episode: if you are interested in more live streams, more talk about fantasy football for this World Cup and moving into the next Fantasy Premier League season, make sure to check out at FPL Wildcats. Link will be in the description. It's a project with me and 3 other YouTube content creators around FPL. Should be something really exciting moving into the World Cup and the new season. Anyway, enough chit chat, let's get on with the episode, and we are starting off in Group D with Croatia. Croatia have a hard group, to be fair, with the likes of Argentina, Nigeria and Iceland also joining them. This is probably one of the harder groups to actually predict. Croatia also find themselves in a group with Iceland, who beat them in the World Cup qualifying to the #1 spot. Then of course Croatia did manage to get a 4-1 win in the playoffs at home against Greece, drawing 0-0 away, securing their place in this World Cup. Now the question about Croatia isn't whether they have a talented squad. They have an incredible array of talent, especially in midfield. They have a man that can lead the line like Mandzukic, who has so much experience. So they're definitely a side with good players and they have the talent to do well in this tournament. But the question around them is, are they a cohesive unit? What is the mentality for the players like in that national squad? Because there is a lot of baggage with Croatia. First of all, their manager was sacked with 2 games left in qualifying. So Zlatko Dalic came in and got a draw and a win in the last 2 to make sure they got that playoff place. Then of course they did secure their place in the playoffs against Greece. But there's a lot of things happening off the pitch which could affect how Croatia actually perform and will affect how the support is for Croatia in this tournament. If you cast your minds back to previous international tournaments, the Croatian fans have been very disruptive. They've not been there to support their national side, so who knows exactly what could happen. But the fans do not like the National Federation of Football, and 2 of their players currently, Modric and Lovren, who you'll both know of, are being accused of perjury in a past trial around corruption in the National League. So they're not popular figures at the moment as well. Modric, of course, being one of their best players. All that being said, there is, of course, potential there. Mandzukic and Modric, both world-class players at top clubs. And there are a bunch of younger talent as well. And Rakitic from Barcelona, you've got Kovacic, you've got Kramaric. You've got so many good options in that side. If they can get their act together, they could be a force in this World Cup. The players I'm focusing on, they are probably the 2 most well-known players. They're the ones that stand out the most as far as their performances for club and country. Luka Modric is the first one. He actually plays more advanced position in the Croatian side than he does at Real Madrid. This season for Real Madrid, he's got 23 appearances, 1 goal and 6 assists with a 1.3 shots per game score and an average rating at 7.29. And with a more advanced position, he could grow and get more than that in this World Cup. And Mario Mandzukic, appearances 27 for Juventus, 5 goals, 3 assists. But of course, and I don't know this 100% because I don't watch Calcio A or Serie A, but he plays as like a target man but wide. But he does come up with some big goals in big games. So 5 goals, 3 assists, shots per game at 1.6 and an average rating of 7.01. And at the World Cup in Brazil in 2014, he did bag himself 2 goals. Probably the biggest nation standing in Croatia's way is Argentina. Argentina go into this one with a qualification that was very poor by their standards. Their record in qualifying was 7 wins, 7 draws and 4 losses, scoring only 19 goals in 18 games. However, their defensive record was better with 16 goals conceded, which I believe is the 2nd best after Brazil, and they did get 8 clean sheets. However, they are overly reliant on Lionel Messi because part of their campaign, about 8 games, they didn't have Messi due to injury, and in that period they only won 1 of 8 games. but as soon as he came back, they lost just once out of 10 games, so it's clear that Messi is the piece of the puzzle that makes that team tick, and without him, they look like a poor proposition, despite the array of talent with Angel Di Maria, Sergio Aguero, Paulo Dybala, the list goes on, Higuain, but for some reason they cannot get it done without Lionel Messi in the squad. So of course, one of the players I'm recommending is Lionel Messi. I know I skipped Ronaldo as far as Portugal, but that was because there were other options I could talk about. I really struggled for other options in this Argentinian side that looked like a decent shout. Lionel Messi, of course, we know his pedigree. Last season, 32 appearances, 34 goals, 12 assists, shots per game at 5.5 and an average rating at 8.68. World Cup 2014, he got 4 goals and 1 assist. So if Lionel Messi has a good tournament, he's definitely worth having in your side. And then it was difficult, but I did come up with a second pick, and it's Angel Di Maria. Now, he has got 2 goals and 2 assists in qualifying for Argentina. That is actually one of the better returns for a player as well, which is quite shocking considering the talent at Argentina. But in Ligue 1 for Paris Saint-Germain, he managed to get 26 appearances, 11 goals, 6 assists, shots per game at 3.2, average rating at 7.37, and in the Copa America 2015 he did get 2 goals and 2 assists as well. So potentially Di Maria, if he does step his game up, could have a good World Cup. Next we move on to Nigeria, who have got a lot of history with the World Cup and potentially could be a team that upset the status quo in this group. Qualifying for this World Cup, they had a record of 4 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss, scoring 11 goals and conceding 6, only getting 2 clean sheets, which I think makes very clear that defensively they're probably not a good look for this tournament, especially with the teams that they're coming up against. However, they have had some very, very big highlights. For instance, they've beaten Argentina recently in a friendly 4-2. With exciting attacking talent like Alex Iwobi and Ahmed Musa, who has blistering pace, and a solid midfield with the likes of John Obi Mikel and others, Nigeria are used to the World Cup stage. This is their 6th time competing, so they could potentially get out the group stages. However, they have never made it past the last 16, so it would be a short-term look for the group stages if you took the risk. There's also Victor Moses, who we all know as a Chelsea right back or right wing back. However, for Nigeria, he is a right winger and could have a much more advanced role, which means, of course, a lot more potential for assists and goals. So keep an eye on how your fantasy football game classifies him, because if they put him as a defender, there's good potential for some big points, especially if defenders get more for goals and assists in your game. The players I'm looking at, I've already mentioned. One is Alex Iwobi. Appearances 22 for Arsenal, goals 3, assists 5, shots per game at 1.7 and an average rating of 6.88. However, for Nigeria, he does seem a different class of player. He's a much more important and influential figure for Nigeria, scoring big goals in big games. So he could have a tournament where he comes out and proves himself as a player. And then Ahmed Musa, his tenure at Leicester didn't go great. However, he's now moved back to Russia, and in the Russian league he's got 10 appearances, 6 goals, 3 assists, shots per game at 2.8, an average rating of 7.38, and in the World Cup in 2014 he did get 2 goals, and of course he's used to playing on Russian soil, which may have an effect on how he performs at Russia 2018. And finally, we move on to Iceland. Iceland, of course, being one of the success stories of recent international football, having a great Euro 2016, and now they've qualified in top spot above the likes of Croatia and Turkey in the World Cup qualifying with 7 wins, 1 draw and 2 defeats. They have put together a very organised and strong side that fight for each other and are better than the sum of all of their parts. They managed to score 16 goals in qualifying, conceding 7 and getting 5 clean sheets. Iceland have proven now with this on 2 occasions that they have to be taken seriously as a side, despite the small size of their country. And the plus side for fantasy football managers is there's a little rotation to worry about here, because players like Gylfi Sigurdsson, Johan Berg, Gudmundsson and others are pretty nailed on. There isn't a lot of depth in this squad. Of course, that could hurt the squad as far as how far they can go as players get tired, but rotation shouldn't be an issue when looking at Iceland assets. There are some slight concerns over some of their stars. For instance, Gylfi Sigurdsson has not played since March and has had a difficult season at Everton this year. And without the quality of Gylfi Sigurdsson, I'm not sure where the quality would really come from in that Iceland side. Johan Berg Gudmundsson has had a great season for Burnley though. And to be honest, Gylfi looks like his recovery should be in time for the World Cup. It would just be a bit of match rust that he might have to deal with. But trying not to look at the obvious choice of Gylfi Sigurdsson, I've looked at Johan Berg Gudmundsson from Burnley, appearances 32 last season. He's got 2 goals and 8 assists with a shots per game at 1.5, average rating at 7.02. In Euro 2016, he did bag himself 1 assist. Potentially, he could have a great tournament. And then we've got Kerry Arneson, who's had 23 appearances, 1 goal, 1 assist, shots per game at 0.7 and an average rating at 7.38. He could potentially pop up with a few goals for Iceland in this World Cup from defence. Of course, if defence get more points for goals, that could be a good look. It'll be cheap in most games. So those are the 2 players I'm looking at in the Iceland side, other than, of course, Gylfi Sigurdsson. And then we look at how I think this group will finish, and the estimated group finish for me, and this, take it with a pinch of salt because I'm definitely not certain about this. I think Argentina should, especially if Lionel Messi turns up, top this group. But it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't, purely because of the way they currently are playing. Then I see Iceland, just because of their consistency and the momentum they're on, grabbing second. Now, I could see any one of the 3 teams, if Argentina finished first, getting that second place. And to be honest, I could see Argentina getting second and one of the 3 teams getting first. I've got Nigeria coming in third. I just feel like with all the stuff happening in Croatian football, this may affect how they perform. And I think Croatia will finish bottom of the group. But like I said, they have the talent, so they could do well and finish quite highly. So my confidence in my estimated group finish for this group is very, very small. Anyway guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. As always, it's much appreciated. We're getting some decent growth on the channel with this World Cup content as we get closer and closer and the hype builds, so thank you so much for that. If you've enjoyed the video, please hit that like button, consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell. Check out all the links in the description if you want to support the channel, and also go over and check out FPL Wildcats. Hit that subscribe button there, see if we can get FPL Wildcats over 100 subscribers within like the next 3 or 4 days. That would be absolutely fantastic. I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, it's all about the game.